nights for a minute at a time with John and Niall, and I guess you just rhyme with Bat Minutes!
Hello, and welcome once again to Bat Minute Forever. This is the podcast that enjoys getting its nails done and asks its guests if they've ever one day dreamed of being bare naked with Chris O'Donnell.
Oh.
I am one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
And I am your other host, the person that all young orphans dream about, John Parker.
And today, we're once again joined by the guests who were on the other day. We have behind curtain number 1, resplendent raconteur Kiri Callaghan.
Whoa.
Hey.
I don't know what that noise was.
Are we
was
doing
amazing.
1960s Batman intros? Is that what we're doing?
Yes. Whoa.
That was almost that noise I do whenever it's something that's 90s and radical and wacky. Where it's like, whoa!
And behind curtain number 2, we have, screenwriter, podcast host, all sorts of things in the world, Omar Najam.
Awesome.
Woo.
That was my 90s entrance. I have forgotten most of the slang that we used to use.
Probably for the best.
I guess radical was the pinnacle.
I wasn't cool then, and I'm not cool now. So I'm just staying consistent.
That's an interesting aspect of culture that I actually hadn't really thought about. It's that like a lot of cool, quote unquote, cool culture might not get cataloged as well because it's all the nerds who are writing movies and stuff. I mean, not all, but like it's a lot of the nerds who are just like making content. And so like I don't know what it was like to be cool in the 90s, but I do know what it was like to like the X-Men in the 90s. So
That's a good point. Yeah, what the hell?
I'm not sure.
It's probably why they were all bullies. Like, the popular kids were always the bullies in movies, is because you had the people they bullied writing them.
Yeah, you're right. And the popular kids were like, we didn't do that much. So not according to our movies.
I was so braced for high school because of movies. And you know what? No one fucking paid attention to me. I was safe. I was fine.
I think we are starting to see the other side of that now in like movies like Booksmart, where it's like the characters within it are almost expecting to be like, this is what high school's like, right? And then they talk to these people who are supposed to be like the popular assholes and stuff, and they're like, no, we got really good grades and stuff too. Like, wait, like, and you were more of a bully than anybody because you were judging us so harshly. What the hell's the matter with you and stuff?
Yeah. I'm not going to college. I'm working for Google. You know, it's no Apple, but I love that. It's a great scene. Oh my god!
I forgot how good that was.
Yeah, I'm just saying, putting it out there. They're supposed to be doing solo Batgirl movie. Caitlin Dever's right there. I'm just saying, she's age appropriate. She's got the ginger hair. You know,
Oh,
let's just go for it.
If they don't do it, I'll sue them.
We're going to club together and sue them as a group. Everyone in the Bat Minute Listeners Cave, chip in a few dollars.
We can do this.
Check the box when you join the group. That was any lawsuit we launch now, you are now legally obliged to be part of.
Yes, we are going to attempt to sue the British government as well for their handling of the current crisis. And we'll put your names on that as well.
Today we're here to talk about minute 110 of Batman Forever. And minute 110 begins with a suspended psychoanalyst, and it ends 1 minute later with precision at the halfway point of a deadly decision. Ooh. It's almost as if I wrote that one down.
No, you'd never do that now. Come on.
Here's one thing, though. Again, one of our recurring motifs this whole season has been how undercooked a MacGuffin the box is. Mm-hmm. And, you know, mentioned it there briefly last minute of like, well, he could be like altering people's perceptions of reality and everything. That's what he should be doing.
Like the Scarecrow, yeah.
Yeah. But here as well is another missed opportunity, because he's coming out with these like, game show things of like, oh, you know, she enjoys hiking, getting her nails done, and you know, secretly hopes to be the love of Bruce's life. Which would indicate to me he had her prisoner for a while. She could have been boxed. And so he could be coming out with like really horrible secrets that she doesn't want people to know, to show you how powerful and how dangerous he
Yes.
is. He could have been like, this is Dr. Chase Meridian. She likes picking her nose. And she once was involved in a hit and run that she never reported back in 1982. Like that kind of thing.
She uses her patients as like film fodder for a book she's writing. I don't know.
Yeah. But it could be like she should be standing like, well, one, too. Like, you know, I don't know why he's not got them boxed at the minute, because that would be more creepy if they were standing in the tubes and they were just like looked brain dead because they're getting their brainwaves sucked out into his brain that very moment.
Right.
But yeah, and there's another thing too. Actually, I meant to bring up in the last minute where the whole thing about like, oh, she enjoys hiking. I was wondering if that's where like, because remember when Bruce Wayne asked her out and got like. He got the reject back in the circus. He was like, oh, I'm going mountain climbing this weekend. And she's like, oh, I love rock climbing. I really do, but I'm busy. So I was wondering if, like, Riddler got that information from Bruce Wayne half remembering the date he had with Chase Meridian. Where it's like, oh, yeah, she's into rock climbing. All he knows about her is, like, she's got good nails and she liked hiking, I think. I think that was what she liked. And she's also really horny for Batman. I was pretty sure about that.
Yeah, maybe this doesn't work. Maybe actually this technology doesn't work, and he's really just bluffing to sell it to investors.
Oh, it's all a lie. That's great.
Because, like, Robin's also isn't that deep.
No. Well, Robin's is even more questionable.
I find that very hard to believe. Like, dreams of being... I'm like, you're telling me this guy who's clearly not secretly 25 or older is he's still just a baby virgin who dreams of being with a girl. And I'm like,
well, that's even more evidence that this was written for a character who was clearly about 16.
Yeah.
This man has slept with many women or men. I don't know. You know, he's slept with a lot of people.
I mean, he grew up in the circus.
Those circus folk, oh, they're up to all kinds of stuff.
I'm just saying, when you're in a theater, when you're in a performing troupe, having been in the theater for a while, things happen. When you're stuck together with people for a while, exclusively. Also, the guy's a trapezist. You're telling me there isn't anyone who was like, I'm gonna hit that.
Right.
Well, again, it could have been more like if you could have made the line work where it was like, you know, he enjoys Saturday morning cartoons and has sexual anxiety after walking in on his parents at the age of 5 or something like that. Like a real secret where it's like, nobody else knows this, but I know it because I got in his head. But yeah, it's completely wasted the box. It's a completely wasted plot point.
I also like, I mean, because they mock him, and that's kind of like what sells that line, I suppose, where it's just like, you know, Tommy Lee Jones being like, oh, scandal. And they are like, you know, teasing him in this like Roald Dahl villain way. And I would love, though, if there was a version of this where it's like, and he dreams of being lying naked with a woman. And then he just looks to Batman and goes, no, I don't. Like, that's not true.
You did not assess this situation.
I think you're reading someone else's. I
not
don't
a
care.
woman.
Yeah.
I also like, too, though, when they say that, like, oh, the dreams of being buried naked with a girl. Because throughout this whole scene, Sugar is really enjoying being, like, kind of taunting and stuff. Like, she's really, like, staring up at Chase and kind of with a real gloating face and stuff. But Spice is very businesslike. So I'm wondering if she's just like, not anymore, he's not. Like, when I captured him, me and him, you know, we had a kind of Riker and Next Generation thing going on. So it's like,
He flowered it.
Or you have a moment where he reveals these deep, dark secrets, and then he pauses and realizes, wait, I have that reversed. So he's like, wait, no. It's actually Robin who likes to get his nails done and go hiking.
I could see that.
Oh, that would be great, actually.
So
yeah, it's like,
good.
Just like, you read it off and they go, no, my bad. Other way.
Yeah, because this Robin's portrayed as like he's a bit rebellious, but he's a pretty boy as well.
He's very pretty. And then, you know, Chase is like, that's why she keeps flip-flopping with Bruce and Batman, and she's really like, you know what, I think I'm just into women. I haven't accepted it yet. I've got a lot of internalized issues. As you can see, when I try to diagnose other people, it doesn't go well. Can you imagine how I try to diagnose myself? It's a lot of self-loathing. It's unfortunate.
even when the Riddler's lost, he's won. Because he's like, well, that information's out now, so bye-bye happy ending for Bruce Wayne, at least. I'm sure Chase Meridian have a great life afterward, but
You could have a very like sweet from the musical Buffy episode of being like,
Yeah.
hey, all those secrets that you were concealing, they're now all out there now.
Yeah.
Maybe I lost, but I won.
Oh, I need to watch that episode again. That's my favorite
So good,
episode.
yeah.
I love it so
It's
much.
so
It's
good.
now stuck in my head, that song. Oh well.
All those secrets. I like
Been concealing. Say
idea.
you're happy now. Once more with feeling. Sorry, I can't.
Woo!
I'm not gonna say where. Also, Kiri, we should do that at karaoke. I'm not gonna say that what happens in this movie for our listeners. I don't want to spoil it, but because okay, I'm gonna spoil one aspect. This doesn't happen, and that's disappointing. I would love for there to be a conversation at the end where Chase and Batman are talking, and Batman's like, "So hikes, huh?" And Chase is like, "I'm so embarrassed." I really wish you'd never found out about that. It's just walking.
It's just walking.
Because when the Riddler reveals that, though, he does this little, like, squeak, kind of, like, taunting, look what I got. And it's like, yeah, that's all it is, hiking. And she hopes to be the love of Bruce's life. Like, well, Bruce is into her. There's nothing to taunt there. Like, that's like, totally fine.
And it's not anything embarrassing. Like, you think he'd be revealing embarrassing secrets.
Yeah.
Yes.
I fully support your idea, Carrie. Like, this should have been like, oh, wait, no, I got those two things mixed up. Then that's your ending. That's just like,
It's
okay.
like, oh,
Even if he's just lying to taunt them. That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, but this Riddler, he's not as clever as he makes out because his insult is like the insult that a 10-year-old would come up with,
Yeah.
where he calls him Fatman's one and only partner.
That's like an old 1950s joke. Like, that's just like, he was already kink shaming him. Now he's body shaming him. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What are you doing, man?
And he's not fat. We've said this before. Val Kilmer in this, he's like realistically built. He's not John Cena,
Yes.
but he's tough.
Yeah.
and the cinematography has given us ample view of him in that bat suit. So we have mental proof that's been seared into our brains that
Oh,
Full
yeah.
knowledge. Full
He's-
knowledge.
Every
not
inch of that
overweight.
body.
every time it was a booty shot, we just go, booty!
But I didn't remember how much booty there is.
And then the next one, it's even more. Like, they always get hung up on, like, the bat
Yeah.
nipples. And I'm like, look, the nipple thing is weird. And I did notice that Robin has nipples, though Batman does not in this one. I thought they both had it, but I guess it's not until the next
Oh, no,
one.
he does earlier in the movie. But this is his
Okay.
the prototype suit he's got on.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Just
hasn't added the nipples
constant,
yet.
like, crotch shot, booty shot. And I'm just like, I feel like I need to apologize to these gentlemen or ask them, like, hey, do I have your consent to watch this?
Right.
Because I feel a little, woo.
See, you're the opposite of me. I felt attacked. Like, oh my God, get it out of my face.
I mean, yeah, I was like, I mean, congratulations on your body, but also, are you okay?
Well, as you were saying before we recorded, Gary, as well. Like, there's a lot of Jim Carrey's crotch features in these minutes
so much.
very heavily.
And it's very interesting. His posture's like half of it is like thrusting towards something, but he also doesn't seem comfortable thrusting towards the camera. So he's like kind of his legs are getting in the way, but also it's weird.
It's a
Wow.
very slow pee dance. It's like that kind of vibe.
Slowest pee dance.
Well, he made the mistake of dressing halfway to being Jareth from The Labyrinth, but without stuffing the crotch
Yeah,
like David
and there's
Bowie
no
did.
cod piece. There's nothing. He's got no protection there.
Yeah. Apparently, this suit was supposed to be inspired by Bowie as well. I'm not too
Oh, is
sure.
it?
Yeah, I'm not too sure what era they're going for. I guess just like
I
Starman
think
era.
like with the hair, I'm like, maybe it's a Ziggy Stardust thing. Like, he's got glitter on his face. He's got bright orange hair, but
I think it's inspired by Bowie, but not copying Bowie, which is
Yeah.
probably the best approach. You don't want him just dressed as Ziggy Stardust.
Just like the sequels, like the thin white juke, just the Riddler snorting cocaine constantly the whole damn movie.
he just doesn't have the bone structure for it, darling.
Oh no! Jim Carrey's quite a handsome dude, but no, he
is.
does not have.
He's not unattractive. He just doesn't have that like face that looks like we just chiseled this from marble.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not an androgynous alien. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He's a human being, so
Yes.
we can't
exactly.
fault him for that.
He is made of flesh. And in that,
He's
it will be
weak.
impossible. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing then, because we do, of course, we've had the reveal of Chase, then we have the reveal of Dick. One of those annoying things of just like, happens in so many movies. Like, for some reason, Dick's got his hands tied behind his back, where Chase's are in front of her, and there's a chain in her hands that's about a mile long. So it's just like, she could just reach up, take that thing off her mouth, but she's just not doing it. It's just like, why is it there? Like, what the hell's going on? And there's clearly some thought put into it, where they're like, well, we're putting his behind his back. But then
also,
Nicole
the
Kidman...
hole they're being dropped into, is it just me, or could, like... I mean, I think it would hurt her severely, but I feel like all Dick Grayson has to do is the splits, and he's fine.
Dick Grayson for sure.
Like, he could easily, like, flip his way out. He's fine.
Yeah, he's a gymnast.
It's a very narrow hole. All you have to do is just not hold your limbs inside the ride. You know what I mean? And you're fine.
Well, that would be like in a modern day comic version of Batman. Because one thing, you know, we kind of joked about it in the lead up to this, but Batman's reaction to seeing Dick here must be like, this is your first day, man. Like, you bulldozed your way into being my partner. I never wanted you here. And the first mission, you got goddamn captured within seconds of showing up. You goddamn idiot. But in modern day comics, I feel like what would happen at the end would Batman would go for Chase, and he'd be like, the Dick, like, I trusted you. I assumed you would be able to get out of this because there's a reason I have you as my partner, and I don't feel the need to have to look after you.
You're a gymnast. You'd be fine.
Yeah, that should be what happens, but no.
Alas, no.
But remember, way last minute, when I told you to put a little pin in something revolving around
I'm so excited.
The Spruce Goose, because I have the greatest It's All Connected of all.
Can I remove the pin, though? Because I'm bleeding.
It's for the love of God, John. Take it. Well, actually, no, if you're bleeding now, put the pin back in to make sure.
Pin in, John, no!
But yes, it is the mother of all It's All Connected. Because, okay, right. This film is filmed quite extensively in the Spruce Goose Dome. It housed the plane built by Howard Hughes. Someone who was very interested in the life of Howard Hughes was a little man called Jim Carrey. And in the early 2000s, he was developing just a Howard Hughes biopic. He wanted to star as Howard Hughes in just a movie. And he approached a up-and-coming filmmaker called Chris Nolan to develop a script. And Chris Nolan was coming off a movie called Insomnia, which starred Robin Williams, who of course was almost the Joker, and he was almost the Riddler in this movie. Okay, so there you go. Those two things are connected. And Jim Carrey and Chris Nolan, for years, were working away on this Howard Hughes biopic. Very, very excited about it. And they were talking about like this whole idea of like, oh, split personalities. And he's like, oh, he's got this sort of like, he's a genius millionaire entrepreneur who's like a real gadabout and womanizer, but he's also got a really dark side. It's like he's hiding things behind. He's got like a real, you know, it's got a dark half to him. It's almost as if he's got like two identities and stuff. And they were fascinated by this. And then, of course, while they were developing it, a little movie called The Aviator comes out, which stars Leonardo DiCaprio, who, of course, was almost Robin in Batman Forever. And it co-stars a woman called Kate Blanchett, who plays Katharine Hepburn. But the woman who originally was slated to play Katharine Hepburn, but dropped out at the last minute, was a little actress called Nicole Kidman, who was almost in The Aviator. So, at this point, Chris Nolan and Jim Carrey go, we're not going to go up against Scorsese. We're going to back off. And in the meantime, Chris Nolan goes on, and he makes a bunch of Batman movies, wherein, in interviews, he constantly refers to Bruce Wayne as being a Howard Hughes type. He's very much basing the character on Howard Hughes, so much so that when you get The Dark Knight Rises, you've got this controversial version of Bruce Wayne who's like this gaunt guy who's hid away in his mansion and like no one's seen him for friggin' years. He's got the straggly beard and he just seems to be a complete recluse, basically. That's all directly based on the later years of Howard Hughes. So, there's one big element of connection. But then, after Dark Knight Rises comes out, Chris Nolan starts thinking to himself, oh, enough time's passed. And The Aviator didn't really go into the recluse years of Howard Hughes. Because the guy, I don't know if people know, I was fascinated to find this out. You can get photos of Howard Hughes where he looks like an old gaunt guy and stuff. He died 25 years after his last photo was taken. He was that much of a recluse, that he was that rich and that powerful.
Wow.
He hid completely out of the public view for 25 years with not even a single photo been taken of him. And so that's crazy. And him and Jim Carrey, they get back on board. And they're like, we can do a whole movie just about that part of his life, where he's just like, crazy recluse guy in a mansion and stuff. So they start developing away at that. And then, of course, a little guy called Warren Beatty comes out. And he also has a Howard Hughes project that he wants to make called Rules Don't Apply. And that movie comes out in 2016. Warren Beatty, of course, being the husband of Annette Bening, and who also co-stars in this movie with Alec Baldwin, who is the husband of Kim Basinger, who was in Batman. But Annette Bening, people might remember from last season, was the original choice to play Catwoman until she got pregnant with Warren Beatty's kid.
Yeah.
And she had to drop out at literally the 11th hour, and then Michelle Pfeiffer got that role. The thing is, so Chris Nolan then eventually goes like, all right, fine, I'll put that back on the shelf. We're not doing it because Warren Beatty's got his freaking stupid Howard Hughes movie coming out. But the reason he wasn't that annoyed by it, because Warren Beatty had been planning to make a Howard Hughes biopic since the 1970s. And his reason he stopped making it was because a massive TV movie came out called The Amazing Howard Hughes. And do you want to guess who played Howard Hughes in The Amazing Howard Hughes? One Tommy Lee Jones.
No.
Oh
my God!
Tommy Lee Jones played
What?
Howard Hughes in a movie that stopped Warren Beatty from making his Howard Hughes movie, which then ended up stopping Chris Nolan and Jim Carrey from making their Howard Hughes movie. And another person who also featured in that Howard Hughes movie from 1977 was a guy called William Dozier. And if you don't know who William Dozier, or Dozier, was, he's the same Bat Time, same Bat Channel guy. He's the announcer, narrator of the Batman 60 show, and also the producer. So, all of those things come together, connecting all of these people, and now they're standing in the middle of the Spruce Goose Dome. It's all connected. Boom, I'm done. I'm out. See ya.
That's it. End of the show.
That is like, oh my God, I want to hug you for that. That was so amazing, and I could not have been more appropriate for the use of let's put a pin in that. My heart is so full, and I bow down to that rabbit hole of knowledge.
Thank you very
That
much.
is amazing.
For me in my life, it went from watching the film Psycho in middle school, renting it from Blockbuster Video, watching it in my bedroom, getting to the end and seeing the detective explanation and going, wow, great movie. And then everything paused until this moment. And then I hit play again on my life. There's something about that breakdown that just is going to allow me to just like walk out and be alleviated of so much. I knew this was all going on. I didn't know what. I didn't know what details it would be, but I knew strings were getting pulled. And this was it. I think this was it. My paranoia is now gone.
But the thing is, too, I'm always very curious. It's like, I wonder if Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones know that these things are happening. I know those two guys hated each other, so I don't know if Tommy Lee Jones is just like, you think you know stuff about Howard Hughes? I played Howard Hughes, buddy. Or if like Chris Nolan knows any of these connections, he's like, oh, that's weird. Yeah, all those things join up. Or if I was to present that to them, they might be like, holy crap. Yeah, I guess. I guess there's some kind of grand design in the world that I was unaware of.
They'll be like, I knew those motherfuckers trying to screw us.
Go steam my
Just uncover
coats.
this big rivalry plot.
What I really like about that too, on a personal level, is hearing. This is going to sound mean, and I don't mean it to be. Hearing Christopher Nolan fail at something is very reassuring. In the same way that I recently was watching a Mr. Sunday Movies video, and Mr. Sunday Movies was like quoted this book about Star Wars, and it was that George Lucas says that he only got to make 25% of what he wanted to do in the film Star Wars: A New Hope. And just hearing that is very nice, where you're just like, wow, George Lucas, you screwed up, and your screw up was New Hope. Okay, good to know. Like, he came out and he was just like, this is a mess. This is disappointing. I couldn't do it. And so it's just great to hear that these like legends are like, I'm going to make my Howard Hughes movie, where, and the rest of us are just like, I got to finish this one thing. And it just never gets done. It's like, yeah, that's Chris has that too.
Yeah. But so then we got one problem I do have is Edward Nygma's, again, his shaming of Dick Grayson with his like, oh, he enjoys Saturday morning cartoons. Like, what beef you got with that, Jim? Have you missed the cartoon renaissance of the last few years, where like Gravity Falls and that She-Ra show exists? In '95, Gargoyles was out. The Batman animated series was out. It's like, they ain't no shame in watching Saturday morning cartoons, man. Like, this is the age.
Hey, this was the 90s, though. People would shame you. People were still shaming you for playing video games.
He would be upset about Gravity Falls because they're stealing his question mark game.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Oh,
You got Seuss coming out with the whole question-y the question mark. Like that's absolutely Edward Nygma's game, although it's way more risque of a costume.
Oh, what he was doing earlier, though, when he was putting together his own costumes and he had that giant puzzle piece, was just questioning the question, man.
When I was rewatching that, I literally just thought of Seuss. Just questioning the question mark. And I was like, oh my god. Yes.
What's the other one, too? Like the man baby. He's like, is he a man? Is he a baby? These are questions.
God damn it, that show's so good.
Yeah, the 90s we did. Yeah, the shame actually is like pretty like period appropriate, I guess, because like it's not the fact that this stuff is shameful. It's just like teasing people was a thing we did a lot more. They're not really saying anything. They could just be like, and Robin, who breathes oxygen, and then like Tommy Lee Jones is like, oh,
what
got
a loser!
You. Yeah, what a
Breathing
dork.
oxygen.
Like that's just like the kind of where it's just like and take swimming lessons, and people would like laugh and be like, why don't you go swim a lap? I will, because I have swimming lessons. I will do that. That's literally why I'm
exercising and taking care of your body. What a loser!
right. Now everyone thought they were the main characters in Rent. That was the 90s.
Yes.
Because everyone was just like, I'm not going to pay. But everyone was that to everyone else. So they're like, Viva la Boheme. And it was just like, no, you're the man.
Yeah.
Why are you saying it to me? I'm saying it to you.
That's one of the weird passages of time. Because you get like, if you look at, in that thinking, you look back at like Reality Bites. And that's supposed to be like, oh yeah, you should be on the side of like Ethan Hawke, where he's all like, oh, screw the man kind of thing. And Ben Stiller character such a sellout. And then years later, you're looking at it, it's like, man, Ethan Hawke's an asshole. Like, Ben Stiller's just trying to get ahead in the world. Like, what's the problem here?
As an adult watching Rent, especially, like I'm looking at that going, just pay your goddamn rent. Like, you entitled motherfuckers. Like, don't get me wrong, he's not a great guy, but I'm like, I kind of understand where he's coming from. Like,
but I also do feel as well, because of the level of taunting, Chris O'Donnell, when the between takes, was like, by the way, so people know, like, I totally get laid, okay? Like, that's just for the movie. Like, I myself, I lay all the time, okay? Like,
oh yeah.
with
Every
women,
day.
lots of women.
To be fair, at this point, he could be like, I'm already married and have like 2 kids. And people will be like, yeah, I believe it.
He might be. I don't know when he met his spouse, but
Although the one question we do have this season as well, like you guys might recall from season 1, was the question of whether Jack Nicholson was sexy or not. This season, I have been stunned to find out that apparently Chris O'Donnell, who I regard as a very milquetoast presence, apparently was beloved by people who like males, basically.
Of course he was.
by
Right.
people who like males.
Everyone who likes men was into it.
No, I remember that phase of people very much being like, oh my gosh! Like, I think it started a little bit with the terrible Three Musketeers movies that I do weirdly love.
Oh yeah.
To make fun of. I think that's how he got this role. Actually, was him as D'Artagnan, which is, I'm not sure if it's the lighting, because there's only like a 2-year difference. I weirdly looked it up. Between this and the Three Musketeers, he looks so much more baby-faced in Three Musketeers, and I'm not sure if it's because he just lost baby fat on his face, or if it's because they're using natural lighting rather than like the harsh overhead where you're like, I can see every wrinkle on your face. But it just further was like, I don't buy you as a 18-year-old or younger, sir.
But you personally though, like Chris O'Donnell, do you ever give him the time of day, or are you just like, oh god, no?
Oh, me? No. It was not my thing, but I had many of friends. No, I was the person realizing my sexuality a lot more in the next movie with Alicia Silverstone.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Uma Thurman, Poison Ivy.
No, I love Uma Thurman, but I am very frustrated with that film, and I'm sure if I come on again for when you guys talk about that one, I'm frustrated with that film because that film did not understand what makes Uma Thurman sexy.
Yes.
And I find her absolutely unattractive in that movie.
That's
because
amazing.
Yeah, because
makes
I
total
find
sense.
her extremely sexy in like Kill Bill, and heck, even the producers, I really enjoyed her. But there's something about the way they direct her in that, and how they perceive Poison Ivy should be, that I'm like, this is not sexy.
Right.
I don't understand what makes this woman attractive, and it's not this. It's not this weird like, I'm talking like this. I'm like, what the is this? I'm sorry.
But at the same time, she could be like the character could be putting that on. It's performative.
Yeah,
Just for these idiot men.
but it's like even like.
Because all men think she's
Yeah.
sexy in that. Yeah.
It's a weird thing to me where I'm like, to me, this is not what makes Uma Thurman sexy. And that was the frustrating thing. But, you know, Alicia Silverstone in a Batgirl suit, I'm there for it.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're putting down.
I always wonder though as
Makes
well, because you
sense.
could be like, you could almost argue like, well, Joel Schumacher been an openly gay man. Maybe he just wasn't. Maybe he was like, women been sexy is not my thing. But then Chase Meridian in this is like, no, she's pretty damn sexy, so he knows what he's
And
doing.
the thing is, I think someone like Nicole Kidman could have pulled off that version of Poison Ivy. I just feel Uma Thurman, that's not where her sexiness comes from. Is that kind of sexy? But that's a discussion for another movie.
But it's curious you say that
We
though,
will get
Kiri,
there.
because we mentioned way ages back, like Joel Schumacher did want to use Poison Ivy in this movie originally, and he wanted specifically Nicole Kidman to play that part. But then when it just didn't, he was like, "That's too much stuff going on. I'll cut that character." And then it's just like, well, I still want to work with Nicole Kidman though, so yeah, Chase Meridian, yeah, she could play that part.
I wish they'd made her evil, to be honest. Like I would love that character so much more if you just go, oh no, she's just manipulative as fuck. I mean, maybe not like evil, but like not a good person. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
right.
Maybe she's not a super villain, but you realize, oh, you are not who you present to be. And in Batman's regard, it's like, oh, you're actually like possibly a better person when you're being Batman. Who knows? Or at least you're trying to do good. Whereas
Yeah.
like, then you have this dichotomy of you have the outward appearance of helping people, but you're actually doing things for your own selfish gain behind the scenes. I don't know. It'd be an interesting like mirror of like, and then you have that relationship not work out, and that's why we don't see her in the next movie, because you know she ends up not being behind bars, but being the sort of person that he's like, f off.
I think I may make it my mission in between now and next season to write a fanfic explaining what the hell goes on between Chase Meridian and how Val
Yes.
Kilmer evolves into George Clooney in that next movie. Just
Secretly, Batman is just like the Dread Pirate Roberts.
Yes.
So he goes off with Chase Meridian, finds his replacement, and it's Robin's duty to not Robin and Alfred's duty to like be like, nope, this is how it's always been. He has always been Batman. Done.
And then here's how it all works out, folks. Here's how we put the bow on this, right? It's like Alfred is like, please, go, Master Wade, and go with God via con Dios, and then
Go to her, sir.
and then Robin, this is the only person you've ever had chemistry. You man.
He
And
does say I've never been in love before, and I'm like, what about Vicky Vale? What about Selena Kyle?
oh no, we had major beef during that minute.
Like, he's just suddenly like, and Alfred's constantly like taking liberties and letting these women into the house, or being like, literally, he in this movie he goes, go to her. And I'm
yeah,
like,
go to her. But then the only loose thread you have, right, is Robin. And I think all Val Kilmer Bruce Wayne has to do is go like, hey, I found another Bruce Wayne. And then, Robin's like, no, I won't allow it. And he goes like, hey kid, if you tell anyone that we switched places, I will tell everyone that you dream about laying naked with a girl.
it's all connected.
And he's like, my darkest secret. My lips are sealed. This is my prison.
Please don't let anybody know.
Please
So when you
don't.
realize Robin really just wanted to be a gay icon, so he's very closeted about his heterosexuality.
He's ashamed of it.
Guys, I can contain it no longer. I'm straight.
No.
Get out of this house. Yeah. That's,
Like we've joked about before the idea of Alfred being the real mastermind who's like secretly just pulling all the strings behind every friggin' pie in Gotham going on now. But
Yep.
I would really love this movie if it ended with like, instead of Chase Meridian going in to see Edward Nygma in Arkham, it was just Alfred looking in and going, amateur. And just like sliding in the door shut.
God. I love that.
He's like, you think you can make Master Wayne's life miserable? I've been making him miserable for 30 years.
He's the master.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. We brought it back to Doctor Who.
Hell yeah. This is a Doctor Who podcast, isn't it?
It can be.
In all essence, there's too many. It ties in too much. It ties in so much.
I suppose there's not much left in the actual minute, though. I mean,
No.
he says how there's not enough time to save them both, which is a classic superhero dilemma. Which one will it be?
Are we going to talk about the Dark Knight tie-in this week or next week? Should we save it for next week?
Well, are you going to talk about like the fact that this whole scheme is very
the
similar
Joker
to something?
scheme?
Yeah, that's
Exact right?
Yeah, by all means, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we could. I guess we'll jump into it more, but right, like that is like in terms of pulling stuff, and I know that it's a very comic booky trope thing to be like, oh no, we're gonna completely visualize your your normal life or your love of being a superhero, and then the hero's like, I'm smart, is both, but like in Dark Knight, like I don't know, it feels to me like it's so similar, and it doesn't. I know a lot of the Nolan films, people are like, it's so realistic, and it's, I don't know, Italian neorealism or something. But like it doesn't feel like it's lost any of that camp. Even though I know we don't have like flashy lights and stuff like that, the Joker being like, it's either this or this, and that being like a huge deal for Batman still feels like very like the Joker sitting on that throne that the Riddler is with this proposal.
Yeah.
And I don't know. The DNA feels like it's directly there. It's just like one or two things are changed. Yeah.
I can't help but feel, as well, particularly because Harvey Dent he's present in that choice. Like in Dark Knight, it's like you can choose between Harvey Dent or your girlfriend. And then, like, Chris Nolan must have been at some point like, I'll watch that other Two-Face movie they made. And he probably had been sitting going, oh, I can do something with this. All right, okay, making the hero choose between two people. Okay, that's a pretty good. Yeah.
And it doesn't work this time.
Oh, yeah. I guess that's the twist on it, right?
But I will say my only other note for this minute is, I don't know, I've just had much more of affinity for, and just the characters in general, but because, like, you know, me and John are Sugar and Spice in the show's logo this season.
And in general.
Yeah. And I really, again, Drew Barrymore is a star for a reason. And just her little taunting look up to Chase Meridian, I just love it as a choice. I just think she really, really shines in that moment. And I'm kind of like, you know, we've talked about the dynamics of Sugar and Spice. Well, Sugar would logically be the sub, and Spice would be the dom. But now I'm kind of wondering, like, has the switch in her awoken? Because she's kind of like enjoying this whole gloating over someone who's tied up in a tube. Like, oh, maybe Sugar's finding out something about herself in this moment. So, like,
well, you know, you also have to remember that in a proper dom-sub relationship, the sub has all the power.
Yeah, that is true.
Like, it's their, like, if you're actually doing it right, they say stop, and you stop. So,
Yeah.
just throwing that reminder out there that if you're doing it healthy, and now our viewers have learned something about me and my personal life. What?
Well, no, but you're right. If you're doing it properly, that is how it should work. I think the problem comes along when people just think, oh, I'm the dom, I get to just be a jackass. Like,
Yeah,
no.
it's like, no. That's not what this is.
Yeah. This is going to be the next con, though. If you and Angelique show up as Sugar and Spice, it's going to be a lot of our eyebrows. So, like, wait a minute. Well,
That would be a really good couples costume.
She'd be down, I think, if she could, like, do a gender bent version. Like, it's not dapper. Neither of them are dapper enough for her, I think.
oh, fair enough.
I think you could make either of them dapper.
Oh,
couldn't you?
I think very much so.
unless she wanted to be Two-Face.
Yes,
Oh,
you could
that's-
very
oh.
easily make Spice, I think, very dapper. You just give her like some like shoot, my brain just died. A suit jacket and like tailored in. You make the corset thing a little bit more like a vest, but it's actually still corseted. And no, I could do this.
Yeah, well, Kiri, not to get so nerdy, but like with Descent and Theros, books out now, both of them. I feel like a fantasy version of these two characters, where Spice is kind of like crackling with like a little bit of like lava and like broken.
I mean, I think you're just describing Good Omens, essentially.
Yes, but
which we have discussed wanting to do that.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
I've seen so much stuff because I only have an Instagram through that minute, but when Good Omens came out, the amount of Michael Sheen and David Tennant fanfic.
That's all the internet was.
Yeah, it just erupted for like 7 months like after that show landed.
That's had more lasting effect than the show itself.
Yeah. But one other thing too with just about the, I'm sure these are actually like sheer kind of silk things they've got on, but in some ways the little tops that Sugar and Spice have on, the little black and white kind of wraps, they kind of look like clear plastic raincoats to me a little bit.
Yeah.
And I kind of like to think that they've been through the ringer enough with Two-Face where they've already got their coats on and they're like, this isn't gonna work, so we're gonna have to go pretty damn quickly. I've already got my shoes on. I've already hailed the cab. Like, I am ready to run as soon as things go down.
I love that.
This is me waiting to go out for a night. Yeah, when I'm all dressed up, I'm waiting for the taxi, and then I'm worrying if the Uber guy's going to freak out because I'm dressed weird.
Yeah. As soon as Batman throws that batarang, you just see one of them go, all right. Like, before the thing even hits, they're just like, called
Coats
it.
are on. They're vaguely poncho based, so in case, like, I got to deal with blood splatter. So fine.
We've all been there. We get it.
Right?
But yeah, I'm happy to move on to the next minute if you guys are.
Yeah.
We'll head off into the dark, dark night. So we will do plugs on Friday. Don't care. Whatever. Wednesday's chill. It's hump day, as the kids say. So, go off and have a fun time, and we'll see you again on Friday for the really serious business of more Batman Forever.
And then also, I'll say the Indiana Jones thing.
Oh, God, I forgot. Oh, sorry.
Next time, Double Jeopardy! The Prince of Puzzles presents a petrifying ultimatum and the Caped Crusader tackles a killer conundrum. But will the Dark Knight decide on the destiny of a duo of duped denizens? Or can he give a haughty sovereign of head-scratchers a taste of his own medicine? Find out Friday. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.
Ba-da-da.